High formation, handoff Dalvin Cook. He has room to the right side. Gets a block at the 25. And Dalvin Cook steams clear. Dalvin Cook inside the 20. Touchdown Vikings. Dalvin, it's only the preseason, but welcome back, main man. That's an 85-yard run. 6-3 Minnesota.
Under the Cardinals, you have to play exact gap control defense, and if you give this running back a chance on this cutback, you watch this, one-arm tackle broken, then he's able to split the defenders and take it to the house. That, beating those two defensive backs and taking it all the way, that is what makes Dalvin Cook special. Paul, we were excited to see him play today. I think we've seen enough out of him. I think he's ready to go. Hey, all of our questions are answered.
Vikings taking on the Falcons at US Bank Stadium. It's going to be a noon Central Time start for the Vikings for this game, and just some of the statistics from last year on the Falcons as we take a look at them. Defensively, last year they ranked 25th overall in points per game and 28th overall in yards allowed per game. Against the run, their defense ranked 25th, and against the pass, their defense ranked 27th. They did have a couple of starters missing as far as the in the secondary with the safety of Carl Allen. So that definitely contributed a little bit to that, but that's where they were ranking as far as the defensive rankings. Offensively, they struggled on their offensive line. Overall, the offense game in points per game, and they were 6th overall, but it was mainly their passing game, because their passing game ranked 4th, but their running game ranked 27th. And they also allowed a bunch of sacks. Even though they had a lot of yards in the passing game, they're definitely giving up a lot of pressures and sacks, and they couldn't run the ball last year. They didn't have Devontae Freeman, their starting running back, who went down. He was out for the season and is attempting to come back this year. So definitely Freeman is going to be one to keep an eye on in this game as he is in his recovery now. The Falcons, they went into the off season and they attacked their offensive line, which was their problem on offense last year. They drafted Caleb McGarry at offensive tackle. We'll talk about him in a second, in the first round. And they had 2 first-round picks. The other first-round pick was guard Chris Lindstrom. And Lindstrom is starting at right guard. They also signed left guard James Carpenter in free agency from the Jets. And they wanted to start Caleb McGarry because they released Ryan Schrader, who was starting to be ineffective last season. They released him this offseason. He actually got benched for backup Ty Sambrailo. And Sambrailo came into the offseason as the 3rd string right tackle, the undrafted free agent that they got last year. Matt Gano had surpassed him on the depth chart, and they wanted McGarry to start. McGarry's been going through a heart issue, so he just had a procedure done to help his condition, and he's not all the way back. So he is going to be active in this game, but he's still not ready to play a full 60 minutes. So since the injury report came out and Matt Gano, who was going to start at right tackle for the Falcons, is out in this game. So McGarry is going to split reps with Ty Sambrailo, the 3rd string right tackle for the Falcons, and he will be going up against, guess who? Danielle Hunter. So that looks like a nice matchup for the Vikings to exploit. We'll get into that. Some other notes on the injury report now for the Vikings. Mike Hughes had been practicing on a limited basis all week. We weren't really expecting him to be ready for week 1, and he is not. He was ruled out. But the positive thing about that is he is practicing. So I expect he'll probably be back next week or week 3 by the latest. Stephon Diggs popped up on the injury report unexpectedly this week. He missed the first practice on Wednesday and then was limited yesterday and today. And he was ruled as questionable. Tyler Conklin, for us, he wasn't on the injury report until today. I guess he must have gotten a rib injury in practice. So he was able to only practice on a limited basis today, and he is questionable for the game. So let's take a look now at how the injury report shapes things. So, originally I was coming in this game and we're looking at corners and wide receivers. And so, if Diggs was playing, if we know for sure that Diggs is playing, that definitely changes things for the Falcons. But, we'll take a look at it from both angles here. It's going to be interesting to see if the Falcons put their best corner, Desmond Trufant. Now, if both Diggs and Thielen are playing, who's he going to cover? Now, he's an outside corner, and the Vikings have been known to move either Diggs or Thielen into the slot at times. So I'm curious to see who would follow him, or whoever they move to the slot. If Trufant will be able to follow them there, or do they have to go with DeMonte Casey, who filled in at safety for Ricardo Allen last year, but is now playing slot cornerback, a little bit out of position because they've had to reshuffle the secondary a bit. And so Casey is going to be covering the slot. So if the Vikings are able to move Thielen or Diggs in there, they could get a nice matchup for themselves up against Casey, who is a safety by trade. Now, if Diggs can't go, the Vikings could use newly signed Josh Doctson, who they picked up after he was released by the Redskins. Doctson, a little background on him, he has history with Kirk Cousins. He played for the Redskins. He was drafted in 2016. A lot of people thought he would go to the Vikings at their pick, but the Redskins took him to pick before we took Laquan Treadwell. The rest is history. The good thing about the Doctson situation here is the Vikings are very familiar with him. They did a lot of research on him during the draft, and so they know what his strengths are. He had his best season with Kirk Cousins in 2017. Cousins last year with the Redskins. Doctson had recorded 35 catches and 6 touchdowns that season, so that looks better than what Treadwell has been putting up. But last year, the touchdown production went down. Still had 44 catches, but only 2 touchdowns. But the Redskins had a revolving door at quarterback after Alex Smith went down. The likes of Josh Johnson and Colt McCoy playing quarterback. Mark Sanchez even got in there, so not exactly great quarterback play. But so he'll be reunited with Cousins, and they should have some early chemistry there. As Doctson gets up to speed. B.C. Johnson, I would imagine, would see some reps if Diggs can't go, as well as Chad Beebe in the slot when they go to 3 wide. But the other cornerback starting opposite of Trufant on the outside is Isaiah Oliver. He's a second-year corner. He's a little taller than Trufant. He's probably better suited to guard a taller receiver. So, we'll see what the Falcons do there. The best thing I think the Vikings can do in a situation with the receivers is to line 2 receivers up on the same side If it's Diggs and Thielen, well, you can't double both of them if they're lined up. One's in the slot and one's on the outside next to each other, because you've only got one safety across from there. But we'll see what Kubiak and Stefanski have in store for that. Now, looking at the Vikings offensive line against the Falcons D-line, obviously we know that we've got a revamped offensive line led by Garrett Bradbury. Brian O'Neill now back and healthy. That's great news. So he'll be starting. The Falcons on the defensive line, they've got some edge rushers that are up and coming in Tack McKinley. Grady Jarrett in the middle is a force. McKinley led the ends with, or led the team actually with 7 sacks. Last season he'll be going up against Riley Reef. On the other side, it's more of run stoppers with Alan Bailey. They mix in Adrian Claiborne. Not really big time pass rushers. Vic Beasley gets in there too. And he also plays as a linebacker when they go to their base 4-3. Those guys will be going up against Brian O'Neill. I feel pretty good about those matchups. But sometimes with Beasley, they line him up as a 5th defensive lineman. They kind of vary their looks a little bit up front. But like I said, the 2 tight end set could negate a lot of that stuff that they tried to do. So I expect the Vikings to run a lot of play action and bootlegs and tire out this defensive line. Minimize Grady Jarrett's impact. Keep the pressure away from Cousins and let Cook get vertical against these guys. Because if any of our running backs, if Cook or Madison can get to the second level, I believe they can break some big plays in this game, because the Falcons have finesse linebackers who are better suited for coverage than run defenders. You got the middle linebacker, Deion Jones, great guy in coverage, but he's 6'1", 222. Definitely light for a linebacker. You can probably smash him up a bit there with Alexander Madison in our heavy set. So looking forward to seeing that. And it's going to be a chess match too between Kirk Cousins and Dan Quinn. Now Dan Quinn is their head coach and defensive coordinator. He's got even more control of the defense than Zimmer. Zimmer, calls plays. He's got George Edwards as his DC to put the game plan together. Quinn is also putting the game plan together because he absorbed the defensive coordinator position completely. We mentioned he's got some single high, 8-man boxes. Cousins could definitely check into the play action there, or regular pass plays to take advantage of those one-on-ones as we mentioned before, or go with a run, check to a run when they go with their lighter boxes. Depending on how, it's just going to be interesting to see how they defend the Vikings wide receivers, depending on who plays in this game. Now Zimmer, he'll have his own chess match against Matt Ryan. Obviously we've mentioned Rhodes and Trent being key in taking Julio Jones away. And one thing about Matt Ryan is he likes to make a lot of his checks and stuff to the line and know where he's going to go with the ball quickly, especially this offensive line isn't very good in pass protection, so he's going to want to get rid of the ball quickly. So if Zimmer can disguise some coverage and cause some confusion, I think that can go a long way towards winning this game. So those are my thoughts on the Vikings-Falcons matchup. Definitely let me know what you guys think are the keys to this game and what you'll be looking for. And for more content, be sure to follow us, of course, on Twitter, Facebook, and encourage others to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're going to have some great podcasts coming up where we do some roundtables. Unfortunately, we weren't able to do that tonight. We had some guys run into some scheduling issues, but we will definitely be doing that. If you're interested in coming on the show, definitely let me know. Send us a message on Facebook or Twitter, and we will see you guys next time. Skol Vikes.